All right, welcome to your deep dive on South Africa. So you're thinking about a trip.
Sounds like it.
We've got articles, tips, everything you need to make it unforgettable, from like luxury safaris to exploring Cape Town.
Ooh, Cape Town.
Yeah. And ever heard of Chappie's bubblegum?
I can't say that I have.
Well, get ready, because it's a South African icon. We'll dive into all that and more.
I love how these sources we've got, they give us like a complete picture. We can really zoom in on specific regions, get quick tips for navigating cities, even those quirky little cultural insights.
It's going to be a fun one. Let's jump right in. First up, wildlife.
Okay.
Northern KwaZulu-Natal specifically. This piece highlights the Thanda Safari Private Game Reserve.
That sounds fancy.
It is. It's like beyond your typical safari. Think luxury accommodations, unbelievable wildlife viewing, and even a chance to experience Zulu culture.
It's so important to book these things in advance, though.
Yeah, why is that?
South Africa is a super popular tourist destination, especially during peak season. Especially a place like Sanda. You want to make sure you've got your spot. Imagine you're there, sipping a drink, watching elephants roam free, and you miss out because you didn't plan ahead.
Definitely don't want that.
Nope.
Okay, next up, Cape Town.
Ah, yes.
We found this awesome 24-hour guide. It's packed with suggestions. Natural beauty, vibrant culture, the food scene. Oh my goodness.
Cape Town is amazing.
So much to do in just one day.
It really has that perfect mix of like urban energy, but then also stunning natural landscapes.
You can hike Table Mountain in the morning and then be hitting up the markets in the afternoon.
Exactly.
I love it. Now, sprinkled throughout these sources are these little around-the-web gems. Like, did you know that South Africa has its own iconic bubble gum?
No way. Tell me more.
It's called Chappie's.
Chappie's.
Billions of pieces sold every year. And, get this, each wrapper has a did you know fact or a joke.
Oh, it's those little things that really make a trip, you know? Like little doses of trivia or humor wherever you go. Speaking of, I wonder if they have any facts about the history of Wellington.
Wellington?
Yeah, it's a charming little town, just 45 minutes from Cape Town.
You're right. It's mentioned here, too. It's got these beautiful landscapes,
Right.
rich history, a big agricultural scene. Sounds like a great escape from the city.
I think those smaller towns often offer a more authentic experience, you know, less touristy.
I bet.
You can really connect with the local culture, discover those hidden gems you might miss in the big cities.
And speaking of hidden gems, have you ever been to a South African farm stall?
A farm stall?
Yeah. The sources really recommend them for road trips.
Oh, interesting.
Fresh, local treats, homemade preserves. It's like a taste of, like, real South Africa.
It's so important to support those local businesses, too. Experience those culinary traditions firsthand.
Okay, one more. Around the web find.
Hit me.
A French bakery in Plettenberg Bay. Le Fourneau de Plet Bakery and Cafe.
Okay.
Fresh bread, pastries, perfect for a seaside brunch or lunch.
Do you think they, like, incorporate any local flavors into their pastries?
That's a great question. I wouldn't be surprised. Food is such a cool blend of cultures. I bet a French bakery in South Africa has its own unique fusion going on. What stood out to you from all this so far?
It's all so tempting.
I know, right?
But I have to admit, that peppermint crisp fridge tart they mentioned has my attention.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta try that.
Classic South African treat. And then there's this whole article about plastic art in South Africa.
Elastic art.
Yeah, it seems like a really interesting art form with a whole story to tell. It just shows, even in a place like South Africa, which is, you know, a well-known travel destination, there are still these surprises waiting to be discovered.
Always something new.
Before we go any further, I want to point something out.
Okay.
That link we have for top 10 places to visit in South Africa.
Yes.
This is a great resource to dig deeper into. It can help narrow down your options, figure out what fits your travel style. And we should talk about using social media too, like Instagram, for inspiration.
Oh, visuals are so powerful when planning a trip.
I totally agree.
It's like a sneak peek into what awaits.
But before we get lost in the planning, let's come back to that plastic art.
Okay.
It's pretty unique, right? And maybe we can even tie it back to the Thanda Safari Reserve and the importance of conservation. I'm curious how this art form connects to environmental awareness.
That's a really cool connection to make. It shows how art, culture, and the environment are all linked.
Yeah.
Maybe we can unpack that more in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm all for it. It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what South Africa has to offer.
Just getting started. Yeah, it really reminds you that travel isn't just about the famous landmarks and stuff.
No, it's not.
It's more about understanding, like, the soul of a place, you
Mhm.
know?
Right.
And art, I think, often gives you a window into that.
For sure. Okay, so we've got safaris, we've got city adventures, food, art. Are you starting to feel the South Africa pull?
I think I think a key step for you is figuring out, like, what kind of traveler you are.
Good.
What gets you excited? Is it adventure? Is it history? Are you a total foodie?
Yeah.
Once you tap into that, that travel style, building your itinerary becomes so much easier.
That's such a good point. It's about crafting an experience that speaks to you, not just following some like generic checklist.
Exactly. And that's where these sources are so helpful. They give you that range. Like, you could have that luxury Sonda safari,
Hmm.
or you could be in, charming Wellington. It's about finding what sparks your curiosity.
So true. And speaking of planning, our sources really emphasize that South Africa is a popular destination,
Oh, yeah.
especially during peak in the season. So booking those accommodations, safaris, all those experiences well in advance, that's essential,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. Think of like getting the best table at a restaurant. You want to reserve your spot.
Yeah.
But even with the best planning, you got to leave some room for flexibility.
Oh, like what do you mean?
Well, weather can be unpredictable. You might stumble upon some amazing hidden gem, or there could be a local festival happening.
Yeah, that's true. We got to leave some space for spontaneity.
Always. Yeah.
Now let's talk logistics for a bit. You'll be traveling between cities, regions, all that. What are the transportation options?
Renting a car is great for, freedom.
Yeah?
You can explore at your own pace, get off the beaten path. But, it's always wise to be aware of driving conditions, road safety, all that. There are resources out there to help you prepare.
Right. And for those who prefer to sit back and relax, are organized tours or transfers a good option?
Definitely. It takes the stress out of navigating, especially if you're in unfamiliar areas. Plus, you often have a knowledgeable guide who could give you insights that you might miss on your own.
And what about domestic flights within South Africa? It's a big country.
Domestic flights are awesome for covering those longer distances.
Mm.
South Africa has a really well-developed airline network, so you can easily get between major cities.
Okay, good to know. Let's talk budget for a second. South Africa has a wide range of accommodations from budget-friendly hostels to those luxury safari lodges we talked about. How do you figure out what's right for you?
It's all about prioritizing. Maybe you splurge on that once-in-a-lifetime safari and then choose more affordable places to stay in the cities. Or maybe you're all about the food, so you focus on local markets and food stalls instead of fancy restaurants.
Yeah, find that sweet spot. Balance what you really want with your budget.
Exactly. And remember, even if you're on a tight budget, there are so many ways to experience the richness of South Africa.
Like what?
Think free walking tours, picnics in, like, breathtaking natural settings, exploring local markets. Those are the experiences that create lasting memories without, emptying your wallet.
Love it. Now, safety, always important when we travel. Any tips for staying safe in South Africa?
Being aware of your surroundings is key, especially in crowded areas. Keep your valuables out of sight, avoid walking alone at night, and consider using, like, reputable transportation services.
Yeah.
And, like with any destination, check those travel advisories, stay informed about any potential concerns.
All good advice. Now, for something a bit more fun, cultural etiquette, any tips for navigating those social customs in South Africa?
South Africans are known for being super warm and hospitable.
Oh, that's nice.
Even a simple hello or thank you in the local language can go a long way.
So, taking the time to learn a few basic phrases, that's always a good idea. What about customs like gift giving if you're invited to someone's home?
Bringing a small gift is always a nice gesture, a token of appreciation. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, maybe some chocolates or a local craft.
Those are great tips. So we've covered must-see destinations, planning, safety, even cultural etiquette. Any final thoughts you want to leave with our listener before we wrap up?
I think the biggest thing is approach your trip to South Africa with an open mind and a sense of adventure.
Yeah.
It's a country of just incredible diversity, stunning landscapes, and the people are so warm-hearted.
You're so right. It really does. It's a destination that has something for everyone. But to really make this trip your own, I have a question for you.
Okay, sure.
So we've explored so much, right? Luxury safaris, the city life, charming towns, the farm fresh treats, even unexpected art. If you could combine all these elements, what kind of South African adventure would you create for yourself?
Wow, that's a great question to think about.
Mm.
It really makes you think about what you want out of this journey. Like, are you drawn to those wildlife encounters, out in the savannas?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the energy of Cape Town that's calling you. The markets, the culture, all that.
Or maybe it's those quieter towns, the connection with nature, the local life. That's what you're after.
Exactly. There's
Yeah.
no right answer here.
Yeah.
It's about tuning in to what really speaks to you.
I love that. You know, this deep dive, it's been a taste of what South Africa has to offer, but it's your exploration that's really going to bring those experiences to life.
That's the fun part.
It is. Use what we've talked about as a starting point. Dive deeper into the regions that interest you.
Yeah.
Research those specific accommodations and experiences that fit your travel style.
And remember, even with a plan, be open to those unexpected detours.
Right.
Sometimes the best moments happen when you go off the beaten path a little.
So true. Embrace those chance encounters, the conversations with locals, the flavors that surprise you. It's those little things that often make the most memorable travel experiences.
And don't forget to share your discoveries with us. We love hearing about the adventures our listeners create for themselves.
We'll be here, ready for another deep dive whenever you are. But until then, safe travels and enjoy every moment of your South African adventure.